Hey everybody, Imminent Storm here. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be starting up a playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3. Now, what I'm kind of intending this series to be is a sort of tutorial series for newer players. So, if you're a veteran player, very experienced, it might be a little slow for you, but you can stick around and watch if you like. So, what is Hearts of Iron 3? It is a grand strategy game by Paradox Interactive, set in the World War II time frame. Paradox has a bunch of other strategy games as well in different time frames, but this one's during World War II. And so you can play any nation you like during the war and try to achieve victory. So what do we have here? As you can notice that I have their finest hour, which, as far as I understand, is the most recent available DLC. So I have all of the DLC installed for Hearts of Iron 3. And I'm also running a couple of mods, which I'll go into a little later. They are Francesca's Models mod and Francesca's Counters mod, if I remember correctly. I'll have the information in my video description at the bottom. They're purely cosmetic. They don't make any major changes to the base mechanics of the game, but I do actually think they'd be good for newer players to have, or something similar to them, and I'll go over that later. So let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, so here is where we get to pick which country we want to play as, and also kind of the beginning starting conditions for the game. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to choose a historical start. So what that will do is it'll kind of give us some basic technology and units to start with that are kind of close to historical, and we're going to be starting the Road to War, 1936, the earliest time period. Now, to start with, I like to choose Germany. It's a good kind of nation to start with. Action kind of gets started quicker than some other nations, and you're usually the aggressor, so you don't have to worry about trying to defend yourself against someone. You're the one on the attack. And I think for this playthrough we're going to set the difficulty to easy because, again, this is just going to be a tutorial. Don't want to get involved in something too serious. We'll leave everything here as far as diplomacy, production technology, all this stuff as player control for now. I kind of go over what I like the AI to handle as we get along. So let's go ahead and start it up. Okay, and we're in. So as we can see, we're here as Germany, and now one of the first things I wanted to kind of go over here are the couple of mods that I mentioned, Francesco's Models mod and Francesco's Counters mod, which, if you're very familiar with this game, you're probably noticing what one of them is doing already right now. So these little tiles here that are on the map represent your military units. So this is a division level unit, so it has three brigades in that division. So in the standard game, this little picture here in this little box is just a standard NATO military symbol for whatever type of unit this happens to be, which is an infantry unit, so it would be like a box with an X across it. So, and for like an armor unit, like for this, it would be like a box with a an oval and a slash or something like that. So unless you're that familiar with the NATO symbols, it's not very descriptive for someone who, again, isn't familiar with those symbols. So what this mod does is replace it with a more descriptive image. So this is a tank, so that's an armor unit. These are infantry units. These are headquarters units, and so forth and so on. And so, again, this could be very helpful for the new player, trying to sort out what everything is on the field. The other mod, Francisco's Models mod, replaces one thing in here. So if I click on this armor unit here, and then I click on this light armor regiment, which as you mouse over, it says that it's a light tractor, right? So when I click on that, this picture up here is actually a picture of a light tractor. So in the standard game, this box here would just have some random stock military image in it that may or may not have any reference whatsoever to the type of vehicle you just clicked on. So it would run into situations where you'd have like German medium tanks. You'd click on that medium tank, and this would be a picture of an American tank destroyer. And kind of as a World War II buff and someone who's very familiar with these vehicles, it was just very jarring for me. So one of the first things I did was go out and find a mod that fixes that. All right, so. Now what I want to do is go over the interface elements and go through some of the first-time setup, just in case, again, that people aren't familiar with everything, that they don't get too terribly lost, hopefully. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, we have the nation's flag, and then along the top here we have our various resources. So this first item here is energy. Covers various sources of energy, mainly coal. Energy is required to produce IC, which we'll go over that later. This is metal. Metal is required to, obviously is required to produce IC as well. And then you have rare materials. Again, these are again essential for production of IC. So all these are absolutely necessary for industrial capacity of your nation here. You have crude oil, which is converted into energy, and also into fuel, which is necessary for your vehicles. This here is your industrial capacity, your IC. This is needed to be able to build pretty much anything. So if you want to improve your infrastructure, you want to build units, you need available IC. This is supplies. So it's basically, as it says, everything that an army needs to fight. So bullets, ammunition, food, water, so forth. Fuel, again, necessary for armored, any kind of mechanized units need to have fuel in order to be able to move. Money is, and this is money, so this is basically a measure of your nation's economy, and it's used for some various things. Basically trade and some other things to get some of these other resources. This is your manpower, which is basically the number of troops or number of men that you have that can be used to create new units or to resupply or reinforce units that have taken losses in battle. Diplomatic influence, this is used for diplomatic actions in the diplomacy tab. Free spies, which are basically spies that you have available to engage in intelligence actions and various things there. Your officer ratio, which is the ratio of officers to the number of brigades that you have. You want this to be at least 100%. As you begin to dip below 100%, your units don't perform as well. This is dissent. Basically, how much your people like you. If this begins to get too high, you're going to suffer penalties, and you also get increased risk of revolts and uprisings that you'll have to put down. And national unity, basically a measure of how hard you are to conquer. If you start having your land conquered by another nation. This is the date, time. Obviously, the game is currently paused. This increases the speed at which the time moves. And then we have our various tabs, which we'll go into in a moment. When you click on one of the provinces, you get down here, you get a little information tab. It has a bunch of information. What provinces you have river crossings you need to worry about. What kind of connections you have. All kinds of information that can be useful here, which if we need any of that, we'll look at those more specifically at some point. Here is your mini-map, and you have your different map modes along the top here. So right now we're in terrain map mode. I actually don't find this map mode that useful. It just kind of gives you a general, graphical representation of, the terrain. What I find more useful is the simplified terrain map mode, which actually goes on a province by province way and shows you what each one kind of is at a glance visually. So these green ones are forests, the white ones here are plains, you have these brown ones are hills, these purplish ones are urban areas, then you have these darker, kind of grayer areas, these are mountains, and so forth. And you have marshes and deserts. Okay, deserts over here. The terrain that you're fighting on is very important. It affects very much how your units fight. So knowing what terrain you're on is incredibly important. Based on what type of units you're using. Political map mode, this kind of just gives you a general kind of colored map of the different countries, and you also see what areas are being conquered and that sort of thing. The other map mode we have is the weather map mode. Again, the weather is important because it can provide various bonuses and penalties to combat, depending on what the weather is. But this map mode is not that really useful, so I don't really use it all that much. Intel map mode just kind of shows you what areas that you actually have good intelligence in, which I don't have any because, well, I haven't set up any intelligence yet. So, Revolt risk map mode. This is very important because it gives you an at-a-glance indicator of how likely it is that any particular region or area could spawn a revolt. Right now, everything's all green because this is actually my nation, and so I have no risk whatsoever of any uprisings or revolts in the current territory that I hold. Diplomatic map mode, this just kind of shows the various diplomatic relationships. So I am Germany, so that's green. It'll show me who my allies are. It'll show me who I'm currently at war with in any disputed territory. So, obviously these areas are kind of disputed territories with Poland and, let's see, was it Lithuania, right? That I have. That essentially my country wants but doesn't have. Region map mode, I don't even really know what this is for, other than just let you know what regions every province is a part of. It's not that necessary for this game. Supply map mode is important because it lets you know where your supplies are and how they're moving. So your supplies are generally generated from your capital and then are distributed out into your supply network to your military units. And so if you're running into a supply problem, coming to this map and trying to look at what is happening with your supplies can be very informative to help you try to resolve any kind of supply distribution issues that you're running into. And closely related to that is the infrastructure map mode, which shows you how well built up your infrastructure. So roads, rails, and so forth, about how easy it is to transport men and material through any particular province based on how well developed the infrastructure is. The VP map mode, which is for victory points, shows all the various points on the map that you would need to control to win any particular war. So, say for example, when I go to war later with Poland, these are the victory points. I need to control these locations, a sufficient number of them, in order to be able to win the war with Poland and conquer their territory. And they're also important to know where your own victory points are if you start getting conquered, so that you can defend those areas to prevent your opponent from capturing them and defeating you. Theater map mode, this can be useful in certain situations, because you have part of the command structure, you have theater control units that are then assigned certain areas that you can then change them, which I'll be showing you more detail about that because we're going to be doing some things with that. later. Air map mode just kind of shows you the ranges of your various squadrons and where they are. It can be useful in certain situations. Naval map mode, this, if you're engaged in naval battle, which might eventually be with the United Kingdom, it'll show you. There's not a lot of information here yet. You see where you're transporting supplies and materials, and it'll also show you where your convoys are getting raided. It'll show you where your own units are being patrolled, and where you are raiding your opponents as well. Again, not a lot to show yet because we're not in any combat. Strength map mode, I don't really use this at all, just kind of shows you where your strength is distributed. And resources map mode, this can be useful, informative, to show you where your industrial centers are, the green spots, and where various strategic resources that you have are. So, for example, this province has aluminum in it, which is it's a rare material, so it'll help improve there. You have horses. Here in Poland, there's helium. In Czechoslovakia, they have an automotive industry. So, so that can be useful to kind of let you know who you might want to attack next, or what kind of territory you want to take, if you're in need of a specific resource. And that kind of goes over all the map modes. There's a few other things. You can show high battle plans. I never really use those. Victory conditions, just to let you know what the victory conditions are. Strategic effects. There are specific things that you can go after that give you certain bonuses, which we'll take a look at those at some point as we try to get them. Find province, let you look up the specific province if you need to. Alright, now, what we can do here is go through these various tabs, and we're gonna get things set up in them. First thing is the Diplomacy tab. This lets you basically interact with other nations and get a little bit more information about them. So, I have Poland currently selected. I can do a non-aggression pact with them. Basically take all these various actions. And this little triangle kind of shows you how different nations are aligned. So this is the Axis, me, who's close to the Axis. This is the Comintern for Russia, or rather the Soviet Union, and this is the Allies here. Alright, and the only thing we're going to really do here at the moment is we are going to check the Automate Trade option to allow the computer to take care of all of the trade. As the trade prompts can get quite annoying, at least to me, if I don't do that. Alright, we'll just set this back to political map mode. Alright, so production is where we build all of our units, and at the moment we currently have the Graf Spee being built, and a couple of destroyer squadrons, or rather a destroyer squadron and a submarine squadron. What we're going to do here is we're going to set up production of some things. The first thing I want to do is I want to put in a rocket test site. We're going to start production on a rocket test site. Move that up to top priority, because we want to have this because this is needed to unlock access to certain technologies, specifically rockets and jets. The next thing I want to do is set up a series of divisions. Now, we're going to need more infantry, so we're going to set up this division as infantry. Now, these are the different types of brigades we can build, and this is, where they are. We're allowed to have 4 brigades in a division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 infantry in here. Now these are fairly slow, so we can basically put slow things in here, and we want to keep an eye on how expensive they are in IC, which is this column here, because I want these to be relatively cheap, because I want to build a lot of them relatively quickly, because we just need to swell the size of our army. So we're going to put anti-tank guns in here, and we're going to also put artillery. in there as well. So we're going to build 5 of them in parallel, and we're going to build 5 in serial. So it's going to be 25 total divisions, 5 at a time, over the course of however long that's going to take. So we're going to start that production there. They're going to be queued up. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our flotilla. We're going to queue up 2 battle cruisers for our navy. I'm also going to queue up a few heavy cruisers and a few light cruisers as well. We're going to keep them at 3. Just so that we can begin to increase the size of our navy. Because we're going to eventually end up fighting Britain, and we're going to need to be able to defend our supply convoys. Air wing, we want to also produce some interceptors. We're going to make a few of those. We have Messerschmitt Bf-109Ds already, okay. And we want some tactical bombers. Again, we're probably not going to build as many of those. Alright, so we'll put those in there. For the time being, that's probably enough. Please get started. Now, this section here allows us to determine where we're going to be distributing our IC upgrades. Basically, it's upgrading our existing units to our most current technology. Reinforcement, which is replacing losses. Supplies, which is producing supplies so that we can supply our units. Production, so what we're actually building. Consumer goods are needed to keep descent down. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this to prioritize upgrades. We're going to click on these to basically move them to what we need to make sure that we stay what we need. And I don't think there's anything else we really need to worry about here for the time being. Alright, so we'll go ahead and close that, and then we'll move over to technology. These are all the various technologies that we can research to improve our military. So we're going to start with infantry, and what we're going to want to do here is, in just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. This was fighting with a scratch in the back of my throat I had to deal with. Okay, so where were we? Okay, technology here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to queue up the infantry technology. So small arms, just double click to start it. Light infantry, any infantry and tank weapons, infantry support weapons. As you can see, there is a date here, which determines what year is most efficient to work on these technologies. The further ahead you try to research something, the larger a penalty to that research you'll suffer. So the slower it'll take until you actually get to that specific year. And at some point, it just gets too inefficient to try to research something way ahead of time, and you'd just be better served to just wait until it's appropriate to research it. We're not going to worry about militia here. We're not going to worry about cavalry, because we already have enough cavalry technology to get motorized infantry. We need to get the infantry improved enough to get marines and mechanized infantry. Not going to worry about engineers at the moment, because they're all up to date. Armor. Okay, so what we'll need to do here is we need to queue up the tank stuff, because we need that to unlock medium tanks. Armored cars, anti-tank barrel. These are things that just improve the performance of our existing tanks. We're not going to worry about that just yet. Okay, escorts for Navy. Again, not going to worry about that just yet. Not going to worry about the Navy too much. Bombers. Doesn't look like... Oh, we got basic fuel tank. We have basic bomb. Okay. Aircraft are going to be important early on, so we want to make sure that these are high priority. Fighters, it doesn't look like we have anything that is quite ready to be researched yet. Industry, let's see, do you have anything that is in range here? It doesn't look like it. 40 radar. No, okay. Alright, theory, which we're going to talk about this in a moment. Land. These are various technologies that improve the performance of our land units. We want to make sure that we get these attack movement plus 4%. We want to do that. We want Schwerpunkt, which improves the morale of our armored units. We want tactical command structure, improves again morale. We want delay doctrine, various morale and attack buffs. Massed assault, again, more buffs to our units. Central planning, assault concentration doctrine, operational level organization, large front, guerrilla warfare. Now, one of the ones we really want to make sure gets done is this tactical command structure. So let me just take it off, put it back on again, and then find it here and move it to the top, because we want to get this done so that we can unlock superior firepower. Superior firepower allow brigades and division +1, so that means we can make bigger, more powerful divisions, and we want to do that. Alright, so naval. I guess we'll put the auxiliary carrier doctrine, even though we don't really have any carriers. Air. Fighter ground control. We just want to make sure that anything that isn't up to date is queued up here. Probably a more efficient way to do a lot of this, but at this point, this is what we're just going to do. Now let's go back over here to what I skipped. For armored cars, we want those, because we're probably going to use those. I'm going to queue up all of these, get all of these researched. As far as escorts, I'm not going to worry about destroyers too much. Light cruisers, yeah, I want to make sure that we don't want that one. Light cruisers are up to date. Submarines, not going to worry about that right now. Again, anything that is available and ready to be researched, 1936 techs, escort carrier technology. Actually, I've decided I'm going to make the escort carrier technology a priority. I want to get carriers unlocked. And alright, what's next? We skipped over theory. So what we're going to do is we're going to queue all this stuff up. Actually, no, aeronautic, jet engine research. Yeah, why not? Rocket science, nuclear physics, naval engineering. Just queue all these into the research queue there. Did we get everything? I think so. Alright, so we got everything set up. Now, what I'm going to do here is, up here, it says normal. What I'm going to set this to is slider AI, which allows the AI to control the sliders here. Because you have a stat called leadership, which is then distributed to your research, espionage, diplomacy officers. So your leadership level allows you to produce officers, which keeps your officer ratio high. Diplomacy for diplomacy points, espionage to train more spies, or research to research more technology. Allowing the AI to keep control of this. I usually found that the AI is pretty good at that, to make sure that your officer levels stay good whenever they start to drop. That that you keep a pool of diplomacy points, make sure that the espionage, the spies that you need are produced, and anything left then goes into research. And from what I've played, it does a pretty good job there, and just kind of let you not have to micromanage that so much. Politics, I just let the AI handle this. I don't usually deal with, the various laws. You can micromanage that, but usually the AI does a really good job at making sure the most efficient laws and the best guys are in positions of power. So don't have to worry about that too much. Again, same thing with intelligence. I'm going to let the AI control it. There's a lot of stuff that you can micromanage in there to do some interesting things, but for a tutorial first playthrough, just let the AI control it. This would be something to get into once you're familiar with the rest of the systems, and you can really kind of get in there and you know, leverage some advantage. But for the moment, theaters, I don't even know what this is for. This is statistics, just kind of let you look at some information. And again, the strategic warfare review lets you just kind of see graphically how your wars have been progressing, which we haven't had any combat yet, so nothing to really look at there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the game rolling at a slow speed, just so that we can get started. And what we're going to do first is go ahead and reorganize the military. It's something I like to do first off to get my military units all organized how I like them, and then so I can get a better sense of what I have and what I need, so that I can go back into my production queue and start building things that I know I'm going to need in the future. Alright, so this here is the Theater HQ, OB West, and as you can see, it's got 7 cores attached to it. The core is this guy here. This is a command unit, the 6th Army Corps, and it has 3 divisions attached to it. Now, a corps can have up to 5 divisions connected to it, and right now it's directly connected to a theater command, which there's several stages of command you can put in between a corps and a theater. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect all of my cores from the theater, and I'm going to move them just somewhere. Now, to move units, once you have them all selected, which, you know, again, if you click on this little bar right here, I'll just select all the units that are part of that core. Then you just right-click somewhere, and you can see the green arrows telling you where they're going to be marching. Now, this is just basically having the units move on their own over land at whatever speed that they can move. So if you click on a division here and you look up in this corner, you see that it's moving at 4 kilometers per hour to get to that province. Another thing you can do is, if you select all these guys, you hold in control and right-click. You get this little menu here that allows you to select strategic redeployment, and you choose like right now to do it, and you hit accept. And then when you look at their arrows now, they're blue. And what that does is essentially, you know, simulates, instead of having these infantry walk all the way to this province, load them up on trucks and trains and then transport them there. The cost is that they suffer a penalty and they can't immediately attack, because then you have to offload all those troops off the transports and then reorganize them. And so, you know, that's the one disadvantage of using a strategic redeployment. So you don't want to strategically redeploy a unit directly into combat, because then it's going to be in serious trouble. Alright, so what we're going to do here is just going to go through all of these. We're going to hit this button here to disconnect them. We're going to select all the units, and then we are going to just start collecting them here using strategic redeployment. Alright, you over here, disconnect you, select all, and we are going to bring you over here. And again, just go through, disconnect, select. We're just going to just redeploy everybody just so we get a better sense of what we got, where it is, what it has in it, and then decide how we're going to redistribute things. So we want to do this first, and then we select those guys, and then we move them over here. Okay. And one more core. Disconnect it, select those guys, and then we're just going to move them over here, I guess. And now, it looks like that this theater also has some fleets and some air groups attached to it. So that's like our main fleet. This is a U-boat fleet. I'm actually going to detach it. Right-click here, tell it to rebase. Take this guy, we're actually going to detach it from the theater command. more U-boats. We're just going to disconnect them and leave them there. So what I want to do is I want to just basically pile all of my planes and ships into the same spot, so that I can at least get a good sense of what I have, and again, so those guys are there, we're going to disconnect them. These guys are here, we're going to disconnect them. And then we're going to tell them to right-click, tell them to rebase, send them there. And... alright, now we got nothing else there. And, okay, so here's my other theater. And we're going to do the same thing here. So, interestingly, this is actually... it's got 5 X's on it. So this is actually Army Group level command. So you can actually attach multiple armies to this this unit. And it actually has 4 divisions just directly connected to it. That's not something we want to do. So actually I'm going to move that Army Group off. I'm going to select its divisions, and I'm going to just move them all here. So select this division, transport them, disconnect them there, transport them over there. Again, select you, disconnect you, I'll just leave you there. We want this guy. This guy. This is actually an SS division here. Disconnect it. Over there. Okay. Alright. Oh, and I forgot to actually disconnect that from the theater. We're probably going to reconnect it to the theater again at some point, but just for now, I'm just disconnecting it. Fuhrer, we learned that Sweden has quietly taken steps to align themselves with the Axis. Okay, this may cause them to drift towards our faction. So, Sweden is going to start drifting their alignment towards us. That might prove useful at some point. We'll have to see. So we're just going to take these army corps, we're going to disconnect you, we're going to select all of you, and we're just going to move you somewhere. So we're just going to pile you up. These guys are off in this little pocket here, which I'm not worried about right now. These guys, again, we're just going to take them, disconnect them, redeploy them. Take them, disconnect them, redeploy them. Take them, disconnect them, select them, redeploy them. Alright, we got a fleet here, we're going to disconnect it, and we're going to rebase this fleet over here. Again, also with these planes, we're going to take you, we're going to disconnect you, we're going to rebase you over here. We'll do the same with the rest of these. Alright, so now everybody's moving, and then we're gonna reorganize stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click drag and select all these guys, hit this little button, merge them all into a single unit so that I can just see what we all have here. So we got 1, 2, 3 interceptors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tactical bombers. Okay. We're going to definitely need more interceptors. So we got all these ships. Look at these. We got 2 really crappy Tier 1 battle cruisers that are like World War I era battle cruisers here. So they're going to be almost useless. Deutschland, Admiral Scheer, Nuremberg, Leipzig, Königsberg, bunch of heavy cruisers and light cruisers, and some destroyers, and a few submarines there. Alright, so looks like everybody's collecting here. You can just hit the plus key on the numpad, increase the speed. Time goes, let everybody reorganize into position here. And slow things down a bit, because we're going to take a look at all these corps now. Let's see what we got. We got a bunch of infantry. We have some infantry. We have a mountain division. Don't necessarily want to have this mountain division here just yet. I'm going to move them over here, because I'm going to basically make a specified mountain corps, probably. So that'll be part of forming now. Otherwise, he has some infantry in it. He has infantry, nothing but infantry, nothing but infantry, again, nothing but infantry. And he has a light armor. I'm actually going to take that light armor division, and we're going to, again, move it off somewhere to the side here. Because I'm going to create a specialized armored corps. What do we got here? We have another armor division, so let's move that to the same spot. And we got this SS division here. It has 3 motorized SS units. Let's move those guys over here as well, because they're going to move relatively quick as a motorized division, motorized unit. So they will probably be able to keep up with the light armor. So we'll probably combine them with the light armor, so that, you know, that whole unit will be able to move as one. Let's see, this guy's got... Oh, this guy's also got a light armor. So we're going to move that light armor out. Move that over there. We got 3 infantry, 3 infantry, 3 infantry. So we got these 2 infantry. We're going to move those over there. Actually, this is 2nd Army Corps. So we're going to click this button. We're going to find 2nd Army Corps. We're just going to go ahead and attach these guys right away to 2nd Army Corps. And then we're going to strategically redeploy them directly into that stack. So the 2nd Army Corps is now complete and has its full capacity there. These are 3 and 3, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take 2 of these guys and detach them and move them over here. This is what? 4th Army Corps. So we're going to reattach them to 4th Army Corps. We want that one. 4th Army Corps. So now we have a good stack there. Alright, so we're in the process of getting everything reorganized, and I think that's probably a good spot to go ahead and get, we go ahead and stop here. When we come back, we'll finish the reorganization of the military, and then start determining how we're going to distribute everybody, and then start getting new units produced. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.